This is not a drill. This is not just another rumor. This is not one of those stories that disappears after a few hours on social media. Something big is happening behind the scenes in the NBA right now, and all signs point directly to the Golden State Warriors bracing themselves for a massive three-team trade that could completely rock the league, flip the market upside down, and change the future of not just one franchise, but multiple contenders at the same time. Right now, front offices are on high alert. Executives are making calls late into the night. Agents are suddenly very quiet. Insiders are choosing their words carefully. And Warriors fans everywhere are asking the same question: who's staying, who's going, and how far is Golden State willing to go to chase one more championship in the Steph Curry era? Because make no mistake about it, this is not about development anymore. This is not about patience. This is not about waiting for young players to figure it out in 3 or 4 years. This is about urgency. This is about legacy. This is about the Warriors understanding that the clock is ticking, and when you have a generational superstar like Stephen Curry still playing at an elite level, you do whatever it takes to maximize that window. And now, that mindset is pushing Golden State toward one of the boldest, riskiest, and most aggressive moves we've seen from this organization in years. A three-team trade. The kind of trade that doesn't just swap players, but rearranges power in the NBA. The kind of trade that sends shockwaves across social media, ESPN, locker rooms, and fanbases overnight. The kind of trade that makes people wake up the next morning and say, "Wait, what just happened?" The Warriors have been at the center of trade rumors all season, but this time feels different. This time, the conversations aren't speculative. They're calculated. They're layered. They involve salaries, draft capital, timeline alignment, and one clear goal: putting the right pieces around Stephen Curry, while still protecting the franchise's long-term survival. Golden State is walking a tightrope. On one side, you have loyalty. Players who helped build the dynasty. Players who bled blue and gold. Players the fanbase loves. On the other side, you have cold reality. Basketball is a business. Championships don't care about feelings. Windows close fast in the NBA, and once they're closed, they rarely reopen the same way. This three-team framework is being discussed because a simple one-for-one deal doesn't solve enough problems. The Warriors don't just need talent. They need fit. They need versatility. They need financial flexibility. And they need a roster that can survive the Western Conference gauntlet when the playoffs arrive. And that's where things get interesting. Because in a three-team trade, everyone has a motive. One team wants to contend now. One team wants to reset. Another wants to stockpile assets or balance contracts. And when those motives align just right, something explosive happens. Golden State's motive is clear. Win now. Support Curry. Reduce pressure on him offensively. Add size, defense, or a secondary scoring threat who doesn't disappear when the lights get bright. Someone who can take the burden off Steph in the fourth quarter. Someone who can punish teams for trapping, blitzing, and selling out to stop the greatest shooter of all time. The Warriors have watched too many games slip away because defenses dared others to beat them. They've watched Curry drop historic performances only to walk off the court frustrated. And that frustration? It's felt inside the organization. Steve Kerr knows it. The front office knows it. Ownership definitely knows it. And Curry? He may not say it publicly, but the body language says everything. This is why Golden State is now willing to entertain scenarios that once felt untouchable. Young talent. Future picks. Contract extensions. Everything is on the table if the return moves the needle immediately. But here's where the three-team angle becomes dangerous. Because now, players who thought they were safe might not be. Players who assumed they were part of the future could suddenly find themselves as salary fillers or trade sweeteners. And players on other teams who never imagined wearing a Warriors jersey could be packing their bags before they even realize what hit them. One of the biggest reasons a third team is involved is money. Big contracts don't move easily just one direction easily anymore. Matching salaries is an art. And Golden State has contracts that are valuable not just for their production, but for their flexibility. Another reason is draft capital. One team wants picks. Another wants immediate help. The Warriors may not want to surrender everything, but they understand that value has to go somewhere. A third team absorbs assets, sends out expiring deals, or takes on long-term money in exchange for future control. This is chess, not checkers. And the league is watching. Because if this trade happens, it sends a clear message: the Warriors are all in. No half measures. No waiting around. No hoping internal development magically solves everything. All in. That's a scary thought for the rest of the West. Because even with their flaws, even with inconsistency, even with roster questions, Golden State is still Golden State. They still have Steph Curry. They still have championship DNA. They still have a system that, when it clicks, overwhelms teams mentally and physically. Add the right piece to that equation, and suddenly the Warriors aren't just dangerous, they're terrifying. Fans are split though. Some want change immediately. They want a splash. They want headlines. They want another star. They want proof that the front office is serious about winning now. Others are cautious. They worry about mortgaging the future. They worry about losing the next generation. They worry about becoming a team stuck in mediocrity once the dynasty finally ends. But here's the uncomfortable truth. There is no perfect path. Standing still is a decision. And in the NBA, standing still often means falling behind. The Western Conference isn't waiting for the Warriors to figure things out. Teams are getting bigger, faster, smarter, younger, and they are building specifically to survive playoff wars. Golden State knows that if they don't act, someone else will. That's why these three-team discussions aren't theoretical. They're active. They're evolving. Names are being floated. Frameworks are being adjusted. One small tweak could be the difference between a deal collapsing and a deal exploding onto the news cycle. And when it breaks, it will break fast. No warning. No slow leaks. Just one notification that sends NBA Twitter into chaos. What makes this even more intense is the timing. The closer you get to key deadlines, the more leverage shifts. Teams panic. Prices change. Desperation creeps in. And the Warriors, with their mix of assets and ambition, are right in the middle of that storm. This is the same organization that shocked the world before. The same franchise that made moves people thought were impossible. The same front office that understands calculated risk better than most. They're not afraid. They're focused. And they're ready to pull the trigger if the right opportunity appears. This isn't about ego. It's about banners. It's about rings. It's about making sure that when Steph Curry eventually walks away from the game, there are no regrets about what could have been done. A three-team trade gives Golden State the flexibility to thread the needle. To upgrade without completely burning the house down. To balance now and later. To stay competitive without becoming reckless. But it also opens the door to chaos. Because once one domino falls, others follow. One trade leads to another. One move shifts the market. Suddenly prices skyrocket. Suddenly contenders scramble. Suddenly the entire NBA landscape looks different. And the Warriors know that if they strike first, they control the narrative. They don't want to react. They want to dictate. That's why this moment matters. That's why this rumor feels heavier than usual. That's why people inside the league are paying attention. Because the Warriors aren't just talking anymore. They're preparing. They're bracing. And if this three-team trade goes through, it won't just be a transaction. It will be a statement. A declaration that the Golden State Warriors refuse to fade quietly. That they refuse to waste greatness. That they are willing to gamble, adjust, and evolve to stay on top. So now the question isn't if something happens. It's when. And when it does, the NBA will feel it. Because when the warriors make their move, the market doesn't just shift, it explodes. And this is only the beginning.